Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, which is a sneak peek with Navisworks. My name is Lisa, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. And first of all, I would like to thank to all the participants to take a part on this webinar. Before we begin, let's go over some guidelines and housekeeping to ensure a smooth and engaging webinar. So kindly keep your microphone muted throughout the sessions to minimize background noise. If you have any questions, please drop down your questions at the chat box on your right hand side. And we will like to have active participants, so feel free to ask questions or comments or drop down your comments during the Q&A segments. Now, let's introduce our speaker for today. We have the pleasure of hosting T.S. Muhammad Hafiz Zaini with us. He is a BIM manager at Bina Initiative, and he have a wealth of knowledge and experience in BIM and also in a construction digital transformations. We are grateful to have him here to share his insights in the Navisworks today. Let's hand over the virtual floor to, before we hand over the virtual floor to TS Muhammad Hafiz, kindly register yourself at the link given at the chat box. We will be providing the e-certificate and also CPD points. So don't forget to register. And let's now hand over the virtual floor to Mr. TS Muhammad Hafiz. And yep, you can start your presentation now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum, everyone. So, I hope that my voice can be heard loud. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so thank you, Miss Lisa, for the introduction. Okay, okay. So first of all, I would like to say that thank you everyone for your time today. So this session is planning that basically is like the lunch session with the webinar. So while might be you taking a lunch right now or taking a break from work, so might be can allow me to share about the what we call it the Autodesk service work, but specifically we'll focus on the 4D simulation for the BIM. Okay, so I will run the slide and also I will run the what we call it the sample model that we have done here in Bina Initiative on the 4D simulation. Okay. Okay, so I will start first. So my name is Muhammad Hafiz Medaini. So I'm the manager for the Bina Initiative. I'm what we call it managing the BIM team in the Bina Initiative. Okay, so first of all, I think any of you that is already familiar with the BIM or the tools that in Malaysia, basically most of the common tools using in Malaysia are the Autodesk product. Okay, the Autodesk product. So maybe you're familiar with AutoCAD. So AutoCAD is producing your 2D drawings, and then you have also the what we call it Autodesk Revit. Okay, so normally that all the project in Malaysia are using the Revit. Okay. And then the Navisworks, the Civil 3D and InfraWorks for the what we call it the modeling in the infrastructure projects, and also of course here is today is the Navisworks Manage. Okay, so Navisworks Manage. So what is the Navisworks? Basically, Navisworks is the tool. Okay, Navisworks is the tool for the what we call it combining the model. So from this tool, basically, we will combine the 3D model that created from the Revit, from the Civil 3D, from the InfraWorks, and then also this Navisworks also can import the file from the others, for example, like background yeah, basically ecosystems, might be the ArchiCADs also. Okay, as long because the Navisworks is supporting 60 plus what we call 60 format of the file. Okay, so in the Navisworks basically, So in Navisworks basically is the what we call it, you able to what we call it publish to the SL. So assemble also BIM 360, BIM 360 basically is currently right now is already brand to the ACC, Autodesk Cloud Construction. So basically it's the link with the cloud base. And then also, like I mentioned, they have the DGN file reader. So DGN also which means they allow that to read the file that you create in the ecosystem. And then also the IC. So IC file reader. So like I mentioned, like it's either like you using the Tekla, either using ArchiCAD, either using SketchUp, so it can bring in the Navisworks basically. All right. So this Navisworks is using for the combined design and construction into the single model. So identify, resolve clash, interference problem before the construction. So this will be used in the Navisworks. Okay. Okay. So before I go further, basically, if you have any question, you may write in the chat box. So are we what we call it? We try to answer the best the knowledge as I know lah. Okay. All right. So for the first features in the Navisworks, the normal, I think common people is know that Navisworks is using for the clash detection. They if I'm asking that a lot of what we call it people in the industry, most of them they are familiar or Navisworks is for coordination. Yeah, is for the coordination. So they're able to what we call it the detecting the clash and also the coordinated model. And also basically they have the features to mark up all the issues, the clashes, and then to be sent to the what we call it to the respective stakeholders for their next action. Okay, so this one, the another one is about the coordination. So as I mentioned earlier, so they have the IFC file reader, so coordination. So let's say that like our current project right now is one of the residential development. So the structure engineer is using the Tekla. So our team and the architects are using the Revit. So what we do is we combine all their model, including the Tekla one, by using Navisworks to run for the coordination. And also they have a 60 plus file format can be can be import directly to the Navisworks. Okay. Okay, then the next one is about the model review. So some because the Navisworks manage is required to purchase the license. Okay, some of the stakeholders they will purchase the bundle, the Autodesk bundle. We call it as the AEC. So inside the AEC bundle, they have the Autodesk AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, Civil 3D, InfraWorks. Okay, so and also Navisworks manage. So this some of the stakeholders they don't need to buy the license for the Navisworks because you can buy the Freedom. Navisworks Freedom is the free version of the Navisworks managed. Okay, why the Freedom is enough? Because that one is for the model review. So some uh, of the stakeholders they are not required to see like the 4D. They do not see that how you run the class detection. They just require to review the model, just require to what we call it to see that all the cloud issue have been established. So from there they can what we call it to run making the decision to create the decision making faster lah by the model review. So this from the first basically is for the coordinate for the what we call it class detection, coordination, and then now is for the model review. Okay, so basically Navisworks also one of the tool for the quantification. Quantification is a 5D, 5D, which means you we extracting the quantity of the 3D model element. Okay, so normally that what we do is we using the Revit to extract what we call it schedule of the quantity. Okay, schedule of quantity for the model element. I will give an example like in the architectural model. So basically you want to know that the quantity of the door, quantity of the window, the the area of the finishes, so we can extract it from the Revit. But the Navisworks also can be done the process. So basically, they will what we call it extract the quantity, and then we can export it to the Excel file, which means .csv format in the Excel file lah. Okay. And then the timeline. Okay, so these are the topics that I would like to, what we call it, focus today. So basically, the 4D scheduling, animation. Okay, so this project scheduling, I think I can see that uh, in the throughout this year and also last year, based on the my experience preparing the proposal based on the BIM tender requirement, I can see that not limit to the government projects. So the private project also, I see that some of the big project or development, they already include the 4D requirement, the what we call it in the India tender. Okay, so why this 4? But I can say that the adoption in Malaysia, I think in the government part, yeah, it's there, it's already established. But for the private one, I think it's going by years lah. Okay, so and then beside the 4D, so basically, the Navisworks also capable to import the point cloud, based on the laser scanning. So this Navisworks also we using as the, what we call it, digital twin to overlap between the 3D model and also the point cloud that have been captured by using the laser scanning, photogeometry, or drone, or any drone lah. Okay, so uh, without, okay, all right. So that's the capability for the software of the Navisworks. Okay, so we we summarize that basically. The Navisworks is capable for the coordination, for the model review, then what we call it for the 4D simulation. Even you can create the simple animation for the quick, what we call it, quick fly through might be animation, and also for the reality capture lah. Okay. All right. Then the next one is about the format. Okay, so as the Navisworks have a three type of format. Okay, so NWC, NWF, and NWD. Okay, what is the NWC? What is the NWF? And what is the NWD? So NWC is the file, is the cache file that basically we export from the editable model. So let's say that like Revit. So like for you did the 3D model in the Revit. So basically you can export from the Revit format to the Navis format by using the .nwc, which means exporting to the Navisworks. Okay. So that is the NWC. So NWC normally we will represent that element. Let's say that, for example, we go on the high-rise project. So some are like, for example, our arrangement of the file is based on the services. So let's say we have a 12 services in that project. So basically we have 12 NWC file exporting from the Revit model, because one NWC file is representing the, what we call it, the one editable file model, the 3D model. So what is the then there's NWC lah. So the so after we opening the NW, later on I will show the demo, basically the demo in the Navisworks. What is the NWC, what is the NWF, and what is the NWD? Okay, so the NWF is the file that when we append all the NWC. Okay, so basically, the NWF here is the combination of the NWC. So let's say, like I mentioned earlier, I have a 12 services. So I have a 12 NWC file. So I will append inside here the NWF. So NWF, we recommend to use as the working or ongoing project. Okay, as the ongoing project. So whatever that you updating the 3D model, and then you will update the NWC, then they will reflect in the NWF. So this one I will go detail when I demo it on the, what we call it, the Navisworks. Okay, the next one is the final one, NWD. So what is the beauty about this NWD? Because it's the file that you cannot be edited. Okay, basically it's the final file. It's the final. It's publishing a final consolidated project and save into the single file. Can update or recheck the cache if change have been made, and also publish purpose to archive specific milestone. Okay, this NWD also the features that I like is because if you may to put the expired to the each file. So let's say that you in the project, you require someone to code you a job as a subcontractor, and you share with them the 3D model. So this 3D model, basically you can put the password, you can put the expired file, okay, the expired date. So normally I will put a month, then after a month, if let's say that subcontractor try to open the file, they cannot, the file will be called, what we call it, will be corrupted. Okay, you cannot be open, the file is empty. So they will delete all the information. So this NWD function for me that I like it because it can protect your privacy or the information that you want to share with the external parties. Okay, then also you can control the we call it the person that receiving this information. Okay, because I believe that some of the information, some of the data in the project cannot be shared out without the what we call it like the NDA or the permission from the owner of the project. So if the temporary access is granted, so I think by providing NWD file to them, what we call it is the meet the purpose. So which means that you can put in the password. So from the password, then after that, you also add the security is you're making the file have the expired. So whoever that receive the file, they only can access that the information for the what we call it, or let's say 1 week or 1 month, something like that. Then also you can guarantee the file cannot be edited or cannot be what we call it extract out because it's already been locked inside the Naviswork. So that's a beauty about the Naviswork, especially on the when you exporting to the NWT. Okay, all right. So that's the what we call it the 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 short version of the introduction of the product itself is Autodesk Navisworks. Okay, Autodesk Navisworks manage. Okay, I will say Autodesk Navisworks manage because to have the functionality like the clash detection, the 4D simulation, you are required to have the Autodesk Manage because that one is the one you need to purchase the license. The free one, Freedom, you cannot use for the clash detection, you cannot use for the 4D, you cannot use for the rendering, you cannot do for the animation. It's just a model review, it's just do for the capability of Freedom. You can do review, you can do markup, you can do measurement, and then you can do the cross section. Just a basic functioning of the Freedom. Okay. All right. So we go on the next one is about the fundamental. So as you for the information, okay, for the participant that might be have already have the knowledge about BIM, and some of you are still new with the BIM. So we go on the BIM fundamental. So as you know that currently in Malaysia, we have the 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, and 7D. Okay, even right now also, when I do some reading material in LinkedIn, in Google, some of the country already moved to forward to the what we call it the 8D, 9D. Okay, so what is this dimension? Okay, so the dimension for the 3D is about it's a basic, it's a 3D model. So it's a modeling, it's a correlation, it's the parametric data. So these 3D model are the fundamental, are the foundation of the BIM implementation. So inside this 3D, you will, what we call it, you will incorporate the data of the models, the dimension, the shape, and all the thing that you require to put in the 3D model. Okay, so when we go for the collaboration, so from this 3D model also we bring for the collaboration. So collaboration, single, because the BIM building information modeling, their ideal concept is the single source of information, okay, as a single source of information. So this single source of information, the best to access by using the 3D. Okay, so by using 3D, basically can have all the variation of the project, multidisciplinary collaboration, and also the reduced work. So the next one is about the 4D. So what is the 4D? So 4D is combination between the 3D model and also the project planning, which means the construction schedule. So that is what we call it 4D. So in the 4D, what the benefit we will get is number one about time, scheduling, and also the virtual construction. Okay, so I will go detail on the 4D after this. So this one is a 5D. Like I mentioned earlier, it's about the estimating costs and material takeoff. So I think anyone that already what we call it aware, have the knowledge about BIM, that you already know that in the 3D model we can incorporate the data regarding the costing, the cost of the material, the cost of the element, the cost of the equipment. As long we have the data, we can incorporate it. Then from when we do the what we call it the schedule, when we extracting the schedule of the quantity, so we can also bring all this costing data to the schedule itself. Mm. Okay, 6D is about the what we call it sustainability. So sustainability is about the value engineering, engineering analysis, and then you want to the simulation of the LED. So and also that is what we call it the 6D. Okay, the engineering analysis, and the 7D is about the facilities management or life cycle. Okay, so. Uh, this facility management, so which means that if you also uh, aware about the level of development like 100 to 500, so in the 500 basically is the model for the 7D, so which means the model itself already what we call it developing, integrating with the as-built data, and then it's good to be used for the facility management. Okay. So, but for today, we like to what we call it focus on the 4D, and also we touch a bit about the 5D. So, how basically in the 4D also we can include the cost of the cost loaded based on the schedule. Okay, so we go on the 4D beam timeliner. Okay, so I call it as a 4D beam. Okay, some we call it as the 4D scheduling, some of they call it as the 4D timeliner, some of it we call it as the 4D schedule. Okay, so but it's related with the time and scheduling. Okay, all right. What is the 4D simulation? Is like I mentioned here. Basically, you have the 3D model. Okay, so you have also the project timeline. So this project timeline is created by the project planner. Okay, by the project planner. So this schedule will be integrated with the 3D model. So the result is the 4D. Okay, so it's the extension of traditional 3D beam, which add the element of time as the fourth dimension. Basically, the model not only represent the physical characteristic, but also incorporate the element of time to visualize and simulate the construction process over the project life cycle. So normally the 4D simulation will be what we call it uh, put in during will be done the 4D timeline exercise will be done during the construction progress, because they want to simulate the construction process over the project life cycle. Okay, so basically during the 4D, when we creating the 4D beam, basically they allow to integrate the model with the schedule or the construction planning, and also showing that the simulation between the plan versus actual. Okay, plan versus actual. Okay, so basically this is a common tool that in Malaysia I'll be using it. So for the today, basically I will focusing on the product of the Navisworks manage. So they have a synchro 4D, they have a star power project, they have a fuso. Okay, so all this tool basically are commonly I can say that used in Malaysia lah, in Malaysia. Okay, so we go on the type of the 4D beam simulation. So the type number one is about the site logistic model. Okay, basically you can use the 4D beam simulation as one of the 3D model types and it can be used in the project timeline simulation. You also allowed to plan the clear work areas with the trade overlap. Then also you can associate with the on-site material storage coordination. And then from this exercise is raising site coordination in a 3D form. We create improve the awareness and communication. So basically we're using also the 4D beam for the site logistic for the so you can see that how the simulation of what your for example if the project have the by using the IBS, so we can using the 4D that how to simulate that how the panel will be delivered to on site, how the tower crane will lifted the panel, and then from the transportation go to the designated area, how the panel will be lowered down and the installer everything. So this simulation can be done by using the 4D pit. Okay, the next one is equipment sequencing. So equipment sequencing, like you saw in the video, is the sample that we have done in the MRT line 2. Okay, as you know that the MRT line 2 in the concourse area, they have what we call it the highway of all the M&E equipment, and then is we more is the then after that the routing we go back to the back of room, okay, back of the area. So from this simulation, basically, like the video that we're showing right now is the sample that we want to do the sequencing for the one of the M&E room. Okay. So this inside the M&E room, we do the sequencing that for the each equipment, which equipment will be installed first, which equipment will be installed later. Okay, like this one, we do the very straightforward, very the simple sequencing. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that they have a lot of the services there. They have a few cable tray, they have the services. So from this sequencing, we're showing that, okay, this cable tray, this system should be installed. Then after that, like for example, the electrical, the fire protection, the SAMV, the ducting, and then the last one, the equipment. Okay, so this sequencing is allowed that basically between the, what we call it, the PDP and also the Saturn and also the main contractor, when they do the installation on site, they can communicate and to detect that whatever that any discrepancy or challenge if this kind of sequencing they plan. Okay, so they can improve their decision by using this sequencing. Then they can, what we call it, they can try to what we call it, to find any issue before the proceeding to the physical installation. Okay. Okay, this one, like I mentioned, is the project timeline. So the timeline basically, as you see in the video, you can see here have the date, they have the activities here. So as you can see here is the model. So you see the green area, the green which means that the activity of the simulation, the work should be start. So as you can see, they have a progress here. So let's say that you can see, for example, like this based on this date, you can see that all the activities and also the progress here. Okay. Okay, later on I will show that the sample that between the actual versus plan. All right. Okay, so I will proceed for the how basically we did it, the 4D. Okay, so first we need the 3D model. So like this one, this process is created because our environment using the what we call it Autodesk product, and also the Microsoft project. Okay, so the 3D model basically will be created. So individual either Revit.rvt or Civil 3D .dwg. Then from this 3D model, as I mentioned earlier, we export the 3D model to the NWC format. So then from the NWC format, we pen, okay, in the Navisworks where we combine the model, we call it as a pen. So later on, I will show the function of a pen. Then this one is the data from the what we call it the MS project. So this one, the data for the project timeline, we pull from the MS project. So the format should be either .mpp or .mpx. Okay. So you need to create the project schedule, the timeline, and also the activities based on the element. So the best way to execute this process is that this planning, the activities in the planning are what we call it tally with the element in the 3D model. Okay, some of the model, like for example like the temporary works, temporary features, we are not created, but basically can be hide lah using the Navisworks, all the activities that like the temporary. So these two data we integrate by Navisworks. Okay, then after that, in the Navisworks, what we do is create selection, manual attach. So basically we can import, so we can attach that all the 3D model element with the activities here. So we mapping, we call it process as the mapping. Then after that, it's created as the 4D simulation. So that's the process, the simple process I can say for the creating the 4D. Okay. So to create this one, basically we have what we call it do and don'ts, that what you need to do, what you don't need to do. But that one, if you require, we call it detail how we done and how we manage to get the smooth for this simulation, basically we can have the separate, what we call it meeting lah after this. Okay. Okay, so the process, like this one is very high level. So this one is the detailed one. So as you can see that we can okay, are we using the magnifying glass here? So this one, as you can see, we're preparing the model. So in the model here, you see that we export the model to the NWC, and then this project schedule, basically this one, I'm using the Gun Pro. So basically Gun Pro, so define the project. So then after that, we link the schedule to the 3D model. So by using a pen, so I mentioned here is the pen. So here all your NWC file. So here is the pen. And then after that, we do the assign type parameters, what we call it as the mapping. So here is your NWC file with the 3D model element. So here is the what we call it the schedule, the time from the schedule, and then here we attach. So every activities here will be attached to the element, 3D model element. Okay, we will do by activities. So they have a few ways to do it. So we have a few ways. So if you what we call it require the demo or what, so I think you can contact our representative of sales. So maybe we can arrange to have the demo on there. So after we do the mapping, so we will do the simulation. So as you mentioned, the simulation. So basically this one, if you see the element like this one is already complete, done. So the green one is represent that the work in progress. So you can see here on the left, all the, what we call it, the activity, for example, like the construction, the works, and also the percentage here. So here basically is the, what we call it, the NWC file. Okay. Okay. So that is how basically we do lah for the high level. Okay, so what is the value that can be get by implementing this 4D BIM is number one is about to improve time. So to improve, basically to improve the pre-construction project planning and construction of sequencing, optimizing of workflow and reduce idling time and improve project efficiency. So it can improving the time. Okay. So if this data, how I get it is data. Okay. If we go on the local data like the CIDB report, the the data that how what we call it the value of the 4D beam basically it's not so much, but it's showing that it's improving their process. Okay, but most of this data we call it I get from the Autodesk construction report and also the macro hills also report. Okay, so all this report I summarize it. So here is the value of the 4D. Okay, so basically like the next one is about to reduce the cost and waste. So basically by this 4D basically is can help to minimize the BO, to improve the progress tracking, visualization of the real-time progress, optimize the resource, promotes more sustainability on the environment. Okay, by practicing this basically, is the best that to present the 4D progress. Okay, every week or every site progress meeting to show to the stakeholders that okay that is the our visualization our visual the progress for the week by week. So from there that the stakeholder can visualize that okay where is the delay, why is the delay, and then they can also do what we call it predict what is the challenges that they will meet for the next stage. Mm. So the next one is about to improve the communication. So this, like I mentioned earlier, is the best to present this 4D for the every progress meeting. So we have the dedicated BIM coordinator to update the 4D based on the what we call it the actual timeline or project schedule from the project planner. So this BIM coordinator and project planner will working closely side by side to what we call it to visualize the whatever that in the schedule to the 3D, and then to improve the risk management. So it can be used to identify the potential risk and challenge, and also to reduce the safety risk by identifying potential hazards. So by this using the 4D simulation, basically the safety can use the 3D model and create the simulation like for the safety to identify where the hazards, and then to using the simulation to show that how the what we call it the safety features to be put on site. So from by using this 4D simulation, it can help to visualize the safety practice on site, and also can what we call it can improve and also to make sure that all the what we call it the information need to share to the all the what we call it to all the workers, because we know that some of the workers they are not understand a few language. Some of them are the foreigners. So by using this visualization or simulation, can help them to understand that oh, this I can do, this is a thing that I cannot do. So it's what we call it. It can reduce the safety risk on site. Okay, this one is I mentioned the sample of the 4D. So this one is based on the model in our one of our pilot project. So as you can see that basically, if I pause here, okay, so I pause here. So on the left here, basically is the plan. So here is the actual progress. So as you can see in the week 79, so the progress is here in the plan. But if we go in the week 79 actual, the progress is here. Okay, so from this simulation, basically you can detect the delay of the progress, okay? Because these data are not fabricated, because these data are 100% integrated from the schedule that created by the project planner, okay? So if by this visualization or simulation uh, may help your team to start on the mitigation plan, so to catch up the progress, okay? So let's say if the I do continue, so we also, let's say it's week 98, you can see that basically for the structure part is they catch up the progress, and then the architecture part also they are moving. So by this visualization basically is allow the stakeholders in the project to, what we call it, uh, to start planning whatever that the process to expedite or recover from the delay. So this one is sample of the 4D for the plan versus actual. So this one is the what I'm mentioning about the cost loaded. Okay, so this one is the 4D with the 5D. So this one is the sample for the one of our all projects in the Laman PKNS. So I can see that basically they can see in the timeline here, and then here is the cost. So this one, the material cost. So basically, let's say if I do continue and I stop here, so in the week 9, you can see that what is the cost that is already spent on the project. Okay, so basically this data, because I do believe that in the schedule, like in the project or Primavera P6, you can load it the cost of the project also, right? So that data also we get from the planner that we incorporate in the model. Then we do the simulation like this. Okay, so all this progressing by element. So this one also, the element or the 3D model, the simulation here are based on the project planning, the activities in the planning. And then you can see the material cost. Basically, you can put also basically the labor, the equipment, the material. So this one, all the cost lah. Okay. So you see the green one is the what we call it the work in progress. So once they complete the work, so the element will be turned to the solid model like this. Okay, like this one you see green. So once it's tempered, we go on that. All right. So that one is for the 4D and also the 5D. And the next one is about the sequencing. So like I mentioned earlier, basically the 4D basically can use for the sequencing. So like for example, this one you want to see the sequencing of the, or you call it the element. Like this project is using the IBS. So we do the sequencing for the one floor. See that what we call it the element to be installed and everything, the sequencing. So you can see here all the panel is going down, and then uh, the finishes. So as you can see here, the one unit of the sequencing, so all the elements, then after that, including the finishes. So that one is about for the sequencing. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, basically, if you need what we call it the further presentation or basically to detail, you may screenshot this what we call it this snapshot. So basically, the 3 person you may contact to arrange the what we call it the presentation on the detail on the 40 lah. Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, basically, what is the Navisworks? So this one is the what we call it the demo that about the Navisworks. So anyone that have an experience in Navisworks, they know lah the interface is very straightforward. There's a home, viewpoint, review, the animation. So this one is for the clouding. If you want to cloud or the issues. And then here have your viewpoints, and here is the properties lah. The properties, so which means, for example, you create to one item here. So in the properties, then we build what is the issue here, what is the item, okay. And then here is the what I call it the selection tree. So this is selection tree, okay. And then the home. Okay, when I mentioned about append, so here is the append. So this one you will need to append all the file in the NWC. So like I mentioned, the Navis is supporting almost 60 plus file format. So you can put either 3DS, laser scanning, CATIA, MicroStation, FPX, IFC, Inventor, Leica, OBJ format, Rhino, even SketchUp, and SmartPlant 3D.bu. So all these kind of the file format, basically you can, what we call it, you can use, you can export. Okay, so this one basically is append so mean to combine all the what we call it all the NWC file here. So this one is what we call it as the NWC file. Then for the 4D, basically 4D is here, is a timeliner. We call it timeliner. So timeliner here. So the timeliner here, basically, as you can see, they have task, data source, configure, and simulate. Okay. So the task here basically is the activities. So how the activities I create. So like this project, I'm using the CSV as a file. So I'm using data source. So we can add the schedule file directly to the Navisworks, either in the CSV, MPX, or P6. Okay, P6, P6. And then here the task. So once you exporting the file, so basically all the activities will be here. So as you can see here, basically they have the status. This one plan. So plan activities, plan start and end, plan end. So this one is the actual start, the actual end. So basically at the first process, the beam coordinator will mapping by using the plan date and the plan end to the with the 3D model element. And then after that, from the week to week, they need to update here, basically the actual start and the actual end. So from there, you can see that all the, we call it so let's say if we go on the simulate here, basically, if we go on the setting here, basically they can see that they have the view. Number one is view, plan actual different, plan against actual and actual plan different. So basically when we go plan versus actual, they will appear like in the few colors. So like this one, if I do the simulate. So as you mentioned that here the timeline, here is the activities. Here you can see that all the progress. So basically during the simulation, you can see the model, you can move the model, you can walk through, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. Even you can see that, okay, this one, for example, you pause, then you can see that, okay, for example, here in the week 9, where it's supposed that the progress should be done. Okay, so basically, if we do the actual versus plan, this we have two colors. One is the green colors and one is the red colors on that. All right, so that's basically what we call it the end of my presentation. So if there any what we call it question, you may put basically in the what we call it in the chat box lah. Thank you everyone for your time. So if you have any question, you can raise lah.
Hi participants, do you have any questions? If you have questions, please drop down your questions at the chat box given. Or else if you like to request a demo sessions separately with your team or your management, you can always drop down an email or call us so that we can arrange a meeting for a demo session as well.
What competent resource require? Okay, so for competent resources, basically we can have the what we call it one BIM BIM coordinator. So BIM coordinator, this BIM coordinator normally it's the best to have two resources. One coordinator is handling all the coordination, the classification, the 3D model, and the other one is handling the 4D BIM. Okay, the 4D BIM model, because like I mentioned earlier, that the model require the simulation need to be updated from what we call it week to week based on the latest latest or updated schedule from the project planner. So these two resources must working closely lah, to make sure that they visualize the what we call it the 4D simulation with the actual data.
If there is no other questions, I will like to thank to all the participants to join to today's webinar. I hope this webinar will be very helpful and engaging, and also share a knowledge to you regarding the Navis work. And thanks for TS Muhammad Afizaini for sharing us about the Navis work as well for the BIM service. And once again, we also want to share to you regarding our Christmas sales on our specific trainings on Autodesk. Feel free to contact us for to get to know about our training regarding Autodesk, and also we have Primavera Oracle's Primavera MS projects training as well. So as we came to the end of today's webinar, I would like to thank to all participants again to join today, and also stay tuned with our websites and also social media for our upcoming webinars. And please make sure that you have registered for today's webinar, because we will need to send to you the e-certificate and also to register you for the CPD point. So make sure that you registered uh, for today's webinar. And thank you once again, and we will see you for our upcoming webinar. Thank you.